I am on the board of Strive. As Margaret noted, I'm the co-founder and CEO of a technology startup called Fieldbook. I'm also the creator of a website called Free Objectivist Books for Students. So from this, as you might guess, I've spent a lot of time in two communities. One, the technology startup world, which for short I'll just call Silicon Valley, thinking of that as a mindset and a community and an industry more than a physical place. And also I've spent many years in the objectivist community. Now, I would not say that there are a lot of objectivists in Silicon Valley, but a lot of entrepreneurs and investors have been influenced and inspired by her ideas, and especially by her novels, especially Atlas Shrugged. It's not about Ayn Rand's politics. It is about something much deeper. It's about her worldview. And I think there are some important elements of Ayn Rand's worldview that deeply resonate with the Silicon Valley and entrepreneur and investor mindset and worldview. What I'd like to do is tell you about a few of those specific things that Ayn Rand and Silicon Valley have in common. If you don't know much about Ayn Rand and her ideas, then I hope this will motivate you to learn more and maybe pick up one of her novels if you haven't already. If you're already an Ayn Rand fan, I hope this will give you some ideas on how to connect with others, how to communicate, how to pitch the philosophy, especially to talented and ambitious people like the people who fill this room right now. The first is the maker mentality, and this is really fundamental. You can learn a lot about any community by looking at what type of person, what type of life does that community uphold as an ideal. In Silicon Valley, our ideal is the maker. The maker is driven by a creative vision, something they passionately believe in and want to make real. Our heroes are, the entrepreneurs who started in the proverbial garage or the literal garage. This is not just any garage you're looking at here. This is the Hewlett-Packard garage. There's a plaque by it that says Birthplace of Silicon Valley. Our heroes are people like Hewlett and Packard starting in their garage, or Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak building the Apple I, which I think they also did in a garage. People who are driven to create, to invent. Well, this creative drive is also the essence of some of Ayn Rand's unique and best-known heroes, such as the architect Howard Roark from The Fountainhead. In one scene, someone asks Roark, "What in hell are you really made of, Howard? After all, it's only a building. It's not the combination of holy sacrament, Indian torture, and sexual ecstasy that you seem to make of it." To which Roark replies, "Isn't it?" The maker works long and hard over many years, triumphing over obstacles, setbacks, and naysayers. In Atlas Shrugged, this is exactly what the industrialist Hank Rearden does to create a new metal. Rand describes the night spent at scorching ovens in the research laboratory of the mills, the night spent in the workshop of his home over sheets of paper which he filled with formulas, then tore up in angry failure. The meals interrupted and abandoned at the sudden flash of a new thought, a thought to be pursued at once, to be tried, to be tested, to be worked on for months, and to be discarded as another failure. The one thought held immovably across a span of 10 years, under everything he did and everything he saw. The thought held in his mind when he looked at the buildings of a city, at the track of a railroad, at the light in the windows of a distant farmhouse. The thought of a metal alloy that would do more than steel had ever done. A metal that would be to steel what steel had been to iron. The acts of self-racking when he discarded a hope or a sample, not permitting himself to know that he was tired, not giving himself time to feel, driving himself through the wringing torture of not good enough, still not good enough, and going on with no motor save the conviction that it could be done. Then the day when it was done, and its result was called Rearden Metal. That's the spirit of the creator, the maker. If Silicon Valley's ideal is the maker, then it also admires the contrarian, someone who goes against the consensus. Innovation comes from thinking for yourself, from following your own judgment, not following the herd. So, for instance, people like the Samore brothers of Rocket Internet, they make European clones of successful American startups. In the Valley, a lot of people look down on them as mere copiers. In the Valley, you get more respect if you try an original idea and fail than if you copy an idea and succeed. Thinking for yourself, the virtue of independence, is a cardinal virtue of the objectivist ethics. And it's the theme of the Fountainhead. So come back to Howard Roark, he was the consummate individualist. He followed his own aesthetic judgment when others were copying the past or following popular trends. In the novel, he says, "Men have been taught that it is a virtue to agree with others, but the creator is the man who disagrees. Men have been taught that it is a virtue to swim with the current, but the creator is the man who goes against the current. Men have been taught that it is a virtue to stand together, but the creator is the man who stands alone." Now, Rand's basic conception of independence is about being oriented to reality, to the facts, not to other people and their ideas. To succeed in the tech startup world, you actually have to go a step further. So as PayPal founder Peter Thiel puts it, you need to find a good idea that looks like a bad idea. Or in the words of investor Mike Maples, you need to be not only right, you need to be what he calls non-consensus right. So in the startup world, you need the virtue of independence in a particularly intense form. To quote the entrepreneur and VC Ben Horowitz, "In life, everybody faces choices between doing what's popular, easy, and wrong, versus doing what's lonely, difficult, and right." Objectivism says that you should always choose what is right, no matter how lonely that path. Another maxim of Silicon Valley is create more value than you capture. This is a phrase from Tim O'Reilly, the founder of O'Reilly Media. This is a way of saying, leave something on the table for other people. Focus on creating lots of value and capturing some of it. So a great example of this is Google. Google gives away a fantastically useful service to everyone in the world for free. They create enormous amounts of value for all of us, and they capture a small part of that, but it's enough to make them a very successful, profitable company. Right? One of the top technology companies in the world. Now, if the only thing you know about Ayn Rand is that she advocated, quote unquote, selfishness, this might not seem like a very objectivist notion. But Rand's basic guideline for human relationships was what she called the trader principle. Deal with others by trading value for value, by mutual consent to mutual advantage, never seeking nor granting the unearned, never sacrificing yourself to others nor others to yourself. To put it in simple, modern terms, seek only win-win relationships. And I think the maxim to create more than you capture is a corollary of this. If you try to capture more than you create, after all, that's basically seeking the unearned. When you create more than you capture, you're making sure that those you trade with are getting something out of the deal. Creating more than you capture is part of a larger theme in the Valley. People call it playing the long game. To play the long game means to remember that the relationships and reputation you build need to last you a lifetime. So we look down on people who screw over their co-founders or their investors or their employees. We admire those who honestly and bluntly admit their mistakes. Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, says that in the long run, the most valuable relationships are, quote, alliances built on trust and integrity. So these are important things to Silicon Valley investors and entrepreneurs. Well, the long-term mentality is also a key part of objectivism. Rand's ethics says that to survive and flourish, one must think and act long range. That grubbing short-term mentality that the Valley despises is ultimately self-destructive, not self-interested, according to objectivism. And so this is why a philosophy that advocates self-interest also demands ruthless honesty, integrity, and justice. Rand held that moral principles are a tool to grasp the long-range consequences of your actions and to make the right choices in the scope of your entire life. But what I love most about Silicon Valley is the intense ambition that is a part of the culture. The drive to do great things, to achieve the extraordinary, to change the world. Our heroes are not martyrs. They are successful, happy, and often rich. That same spirit is in Atlas Shrugged. Consider this passage, which could inspire any entrepreneur in his darkest days. Do not lose your knowledge that man's proper estate is an upright posture, an intransigent mind, and a step that travels unlimited roads. Do not let your fire go out, spark by irreplaceable spark, in the hopeless swamps of the approximate, the not quite, the not yet, the not at all. Do not let the hero in your soul perish in lonely frustration for the life you deserved but have never been able to reach. Check your road and the nature of your battle. The world you desired can be won. It exists. It is real. It is possible. It's yours. That deep, abiding optimism, that sense of the grandeur of life and the world, is a part of what drew me to objectivism and what resonates with me so deeply. And it's what resonates with Silicon Valley and with every entrepreneur. Thank you.